Today we're going to be creating a video tutorial of how to create a specific IKEA cabinet furniture, which I found in the internet. So the first thing that I would recommend everyone who's trying modeling is to find good reference images of the object they want to create. So I went into IKEA and I went into like the dressing table section and I looked around and found this specific object something worthy of modeling, which isn't too simple or too complex. And the first thing that you should pay attention to when you're finding reference images is to find a decent image which has a studio lighting render. For example, the first one here. These ones are good for presentation, but the problem with these are that you can't really recognize the color or the diffuse or the albedo of the material you're dealing with here. So it's always good to have this kind of studio lighting render or image of an object that would really help you in creating a good 3D model. So we're firstly going to be downloading all these images and adding them to 3dsmax if needed, all of them. For this case, I only imported the first picture into 3dsmax and started modeling with only that. But you could take a look at the other stuff here and see the details. It's pretty decent. It's really nice picture. The second thing that you have to pay attention to is the product size or the details. In the details section, you could see about the materials used in that. Like it's telling us what the frame is made of, what the glass is made of, all the stuff like that. And especially the assembly and documents. This part also tells us like a document for how to assemble these stuff. But in our case, we only need the product size, which tells us the rough width, depth, and height of that object. You don't really need to be exactly working with these numbers, but having a good ratio of these together really helps the 3D modeling. So, but just one thing that you should pay attention to is that 187 is from here up to here, not to up to here. So you have to pay attention to all of these little aspects. And after we downloaded all these images, we're going to be heading to 3ds Max. Okay, so after you download the images, you need to import them into 3ds Max. The most simple way to import these pictures is creating a plane, for example here, with an aspect ratio, the aspect ratio of the length and width, accordingly to the image that you're dealing with. So the first thing that you should check about the picture is the properties, the details, and check the dimensions. So it's a 2000 times 2000 pixel image. So we know the aspect ratio here should be something like that of 1. So you could put here like, for example, 3 times 3. It doesn't matter that much. We're going to change it anyway, but it's important to have the same aspect ratio here as the picture you're dealing with. So after you check that out, it's really good to have a one-on-one segment for the length and width part, and then you could just drag drop the picture onto that plane. I would recommend rotating it if you're not dealing with like an image from the top side of a object, and then just moving it around so you have a good view of it. Okay, you might have this issue that after you import an image, you're not really seeing it. In this case, you're really seeing the details to a level, but you might not be seeing it in the way I'm seeing it. The problem is that in the viewport configuration, you might have these textures at a lower pixel base. So I'm going to change these down to 1024, and we're going to see how this changes the picture. So when I zoom in here, I lose a lot of detail and I can see a lot. If you didn't recognize what happened, I'm going to change it back to 248 and you're going to see what the difference is. So 248 to 2048 and apply. You see that the picture suddenly changes. So I would recommend putting these settings in your viewport configuration so that you see the picture pretty good. Okay, so I'm going to delete this because I have this here. It doesn't matter the size of this. The block out you're making is really important. So In this object that I have modeled before this class, I had this first block here, this box. This box had a size of 4770 and 1.02. So you have to block out the first thing about that furniture you're dealing with. So if we're going to start, we're going to be creating a box with a corresponding dimension size. So 0.47. Let's check this because it's something I calculated. 0.7 and 1.02. So this is the first block you're dealing with, and you're going to be creating everything else like these drawers, these desks, these mirrors, these cylinders, all this stuff around this object. Okay, so we're going to go into the front view, which I could press F on the keyboard, and we're going to check this out. Pretty cool. The size is okay and everything. So after that, we're going to be creating this part and this part as well. So these two are identical, so we won't have a problem modeling these guys, and we could create this part out of these parts. Okay, so we're going to go again into the front view. I made a copy of these because I wanted the size I had calculated before. We're going to move it into the corresponding place somewhere around here. You don't have to be really specific, doesn't matter that much, but we're going to be changing it anyway. So we're going to look into the wireframe view, move it around. Yep, that's okay. A little bit higher maybe, I guess. Yeah, a little bit higher, so we don't have this part sticking out. Okay, so we're going to make a copy out of this one around here, an instance copy. So everything that I change on this one changes on this one as well. And we're going to move it around. Yep, that's more like it. Okay, so these objects are inside this, so we have to drag them out, and we're going to move them till we have them somewhere around here. I'm going to snap them here. Okay, so we're going to be creating this feature we have here, like this little bevel that happened. We could choose any one of these two and then add a modifier of edit poly, go into the polygon mode, select one of these, go for a bevel, and go for an outline smaller. Yep, something like that would be sufficient. Add this. We're going to turn on F4 on our keyboard. Okay, so it's just really not that big, but it's a little bit steep. And we're going to be adding this part, sorry, a little bit inside. Okay, so yep, that's okay. That's enough. A little bit smaller even, maybe. Yep, that's okay. Okay, so after this is done, we're going to go into the edge mode and Control A, select everything, and add the chamfer modifier to all of it. A little small chamfer, not this big. So we're going to change this, make it a small chamfer, change it to the radial. Radial one works pretty fine here. Add the segments, and that's it. Yep, okay. So we got this part, but we have these like distortions in the edges. What are we going to do about that? Well, the easiest way is to add segments here. So we're going to go into the ring mode and select all of these guys. Go to the connect, add a couple of these, and like pinch them out. Yep, that's okay. So when you add that, it looks better. You could pinch them out even more so that, yeah, I'm going to pinch them out a little bit more so I don't get all of that distortion. That's all. Okay. So that's pretty much it for this part. And that part, we just need to add a chamfer modifier. We're going to add the chamfer from the modifiers here. Yep, something like that. Smaller, way smaller. And add segments. It doesn't matter if it's uniform, quad, or anything else. So, yep, that's it for this part. We're going to create this part from the left side. For creating that, we're going to copy one of these, not an instance, a copy. Shift, drag, and a copy. We're going to rotate it 90 degrees, something like that. We're going to go to the top view, move it around here. Yep, that's pretty much fine. We're going to move these around, something like there, and this guy up to around here. Yep. We're going to move it away back. Yep. So it really close, really close. Okay, so that's for this part, but we have to correct the height. We're going to go to the vertex mode, drag these up to here, and that's it for this part. So pretty much it. We're going to make a copy of this. We could use the mirror up here, add an instance. I can't see if it's correctly mirroring it, so yeah, it's correct. So we're going to move it around up to back there. We're going to drag it around again. So it's pretty close to the block we had in the first place. This box, the blue box here, is like the guideline for our modeling. So we just use it until we can't see it anymore. So everything's pretty good now. We're going to be adding these cylinders. We have two here and two back. So I'm going to just go into the top view again around here. This could be actually pretty much bigger. So I'm going to change this as well. Sorry, bigger. Yeah, that's more like it. Yeah, that's okay. Okay, so this is much better now. Even the parts down here should be actually bigger. So I'm going to just move them around a bit. That's more like it. Okay. So this needs a little bit of tweaking. You're going to get the hang of it. Yep. A little bit too much. Yes. Or we could just move it back. Okay, so that's good. And we're going to move this guy a little bit back. Okay, so everything's fine now. I'm going to add some cylinders here. Going to the geometry, cylinder, and something like that. We're going to add a height. Going to the perspective view. We're going to move it down to the front view. Drag it down here. Or even lower, actually. It has these kinds of cylinders going way down. So we're going to add a height around here. Okay, easy does it. Yep, that's more like it. So we could change these numbers so that they're not this inaccurate. That's more like it. Okay, so I normally have the cylinders have like the size of 12, but you might like more. I do this and add a turbo smooth later on, so it doesn't matter. I always add a capping so we don't have issues there as well. So we're going to go to the top view. We're going to make a copy out of this here. This one's going to be an instance, but we're going to actually make these two guys in the back instances as well. But after we copy these two, so you can see these guys are selected, we're going to make them unique with respect to each other. So if I change this guy, okay, wait a second. So we're going to make a copy out of these two with an instance, and then we're going to go to the top view, change their places, their location, position, everything like that, and we're going to make them unique with respect to each other. No, the reason for that is I want to change one of these guys and make them change correspondingly. So this works like that. Okay, I might want to actually make them a little bit bigger. So I'm going to go like 1.02 maybe. Yep, and these two as well. A little bit bigger. Okay, we're gonna actually move this a little bit higher because I don't like the grid going inside of it. Okay, we're gonna change these colors of these guys so they don't look so awful. Yep, that's more like it. You could see a nice lighting around. And the next thing I would do is create this tabletop here. So we're going to go into the top view again. We're going to look at our object. We're going to create a box. We're going to turn off auto grid actually. You could create it here and then move it around, but it doesn't matter that much. Just going to move it up here. Look into the front view. Yep, that's pretty good. Okay, so I'm just moving around these guys, tweaking them all the way. You don't have to be accurate in the first try, but you could change stuff going along. So we're gonna make this a little bit bigger, and this guy as well. Okay, so that's pretty good. We don't need to actually change a lot of that. We could just add like this. Yep, that's good enough. And we're gonna add the chamfer modifier, or we could copy the chamfer from here. So we go copy, we choose this one, we go paste instance. Okay, so if I change one of these, the other one changes too. We're going to change the color. We're going to have a whole tutorial about the material and lighting of this object as well. I'm going to like drag this around a little bit further. Yeah, so I don't see more of the blue stuff. Okay, everything's pretty good up to now. We're going to be creating a rectangle and using that for a sweep profile. So we're going to go into the top view again. We're going to create a rectangle from the geometry, from the shape spot, and something like this would be fine. Okay, so we're going to change that anyway, so we don't have to be really picky. Convert to editable spline. We're going to delete this segment, the segment here, we don't want that. So we have this U kind of, yeah, so we have this right now. We're going to move it up around here. We're going to add a sweep, and we're going to use the built-in section of an angle here. Since you can see in this picture, you have like this kind of angle here anyway. So we're going to look it in the front view. We're going to change all of the stuff here. I usually turn off the corner radiuses because I'm going to add a chamfer anyway. We're going to move it up a little bit. Yep, somewhere here is enough. We're going to change the thickness for sure, the width, and the length, of course. Okay, so the length could be a little bit smaller. That's more like it. Okay, but we could add the width actually. We just need to correct one side and we'll figure out something for this side as well. So that's pretty much okay. We're going to go into the top view as well, see if everything's pretty good. Yep, everything's pretty fine. We're going to add an edit poly on that. Go into the top view, vertex mode, move this stuff so we have something like this. We're going to cover up these cylinders from the back so everything doesn't fall around. Okay, we're going to move into the front view. We're going to move this guy here. That's pretty much it. Okay, so we're going to add the chamfer modifier, or we could use the copied one we had, but you could see it's too big, so we just have to use another. Okay, so we add the chamfer here. It's hugely big. We change the size, so something like that. We add the segments. Okay, everything's looking good. We change the color as usual, and we've got pretty much most of it. Okay, I want to change the blue part because it's really getting on my nerves. Okay, so that's more like it. Okay, so we need to like change the height of these cylinders here we have. I'm gonna add a little bit to them, or I could just check this number here, like around 170. Okay, so that's pretty fair. 170. As you can see, the other one changes with that one as well. So we need a circle here or a cylinder, doesn't matter. I'm gonna go with the circle for one small reason. I'm gonna add the circle here for the mirror. I'm gonna move it. It's actually pretty good. It just needs to be a little bit in the middle. Okay, so that's good enough. The interpolations on this one doesn't matter that much actually. So we're going to add an extrude, change the color so you could recognize it's like the mirror or something. You can see here. And we're going to make a copy of that with Control V on the same place. We're going to delete the extrude or the extrusion. We're going to add a sweep again to that one. We're going to change the color so we can see what we're dealing with here. We're going to change that to, let's say, cylinder. Yep. And we're going to change the size of that one. We're going to check here because we don't want these numbers to be really tweaked. So that's good. But as you can see, it's like really jagged and stuff. So we need to add a turbo smooth modifier. I'm going to add with 2 iterations. I guess that's pretty good. Okay, so we got that part. We just need to move it into place. Somewhere around here is enough. Okay, so that's pretty much it. We just need to add these little stuff. So I'm gonna show you what this guy was before, and we're gonna see how to create it. So I'm gonna rotate this 90 degrees so you can see what we're dealing with. I'm gonna delete these guys, and we have this simple line. So what it was, I drew a circle, as you can see here, like something like this, with a lower interpolation because I didn't want really that much detail. And then I drew a few lines around, not somewhere specific. So I'm going to draw a line around here, yeah, something like that, and then go up. I could tweak it later on, it doesn't matter. Nothing matters. Everything is changeable. And something like that. So after this, we're going to go into the modifier section and we're going to add all of these together. We're going to move this guy onto this spot. We're going to delete all the extra stuff. We're going to change this. We're going to trim this part actually. Trim and delete this stuff. We're going to weld everything together. So we go Control A, weld, and we're going to add a bezier here. So something like that. We're going to change that anyway in the edit poly. And we're going to add a fillet here. Something like that. Okay, so everything's pretty nice now. I'm going to change this guy. Okay, so that's it. We're going to choose this specific vertex and we're going to add a lathe or lathe or everything, whatever they call it, here. So we have this. It looks stupid because we need to flip normals. So this is what we needed. Okay, it looks much better now, but we have to tweak it a little bit. So we're going to add an edit poly to it. I want to delete actually all the smoothing groups on it so I could see what I'm exactly dealing with. Go clear all, and we have this. It's much understandable now. We're going to go into the segment mode, select this one, give it a slight extrude. So where's the extrude? Okay, this part. I'm going to go inside a little bit width. Yep, that's pretty good. Okay, and we're going to add our turbo smooth. Okay, we're going to rotate it 90 degrees and we're going to take a good look at it. So I could add a little bit of like lines around so it's more of a hard surface thing. So I just go into edit poly. I go and choose this guy into ring mode, add a few segments here, a few segments there. Only one is enough, actually. I don't want to make it really heavy. It's really important to have a simple yet beautiful object. Okay, so that's good enough. Add the turbo smooth, and we have a harder edge here. Okay, so we're going into the front view. We're going to move this guy around here. The size is pretty decent, so there's no need to change that. Go here, a little bit outside. Yep, that's more like it. Okay, front view. I'm going to make a copy of it here. It could be a little bit smaller now that I look at it here. So we're going to change this guy and this guy a little bit. Okay, sorry. The local Yeah, that's more like it. Okay, and we're going to make a copy of an instance of this guy as well. So yeah, that's pretty much it. We could add some like things, cylinders here and up here as well. We're going to change these colors to black so it has a better look on it now. I'm going to delete this shape here, and we're going to be creating these guys. So again, I'm going to be copying one of these to see what it was before I changed it into that. So it was just this simple, really, um, really non-complex line. So you just create this, choose these two vertices, add a lath or relate to it. It looks like this. You flip the normals so it looks correct. If you want to check the normals, you probably would change the colors to something like this. If you can see the color pretty correctly, so it's okay, everything's fine. But if you see like something like this, you should just flip the normals and always have this weld cores. It's not showing here because it's simple and it created it, but sometimes you have this strange shading here, so always turn this on. Okay, so this one's pretty good. Okay, I'm gonna add an edit poly. We're gonna actually close this part with a cap. We're gonna see what it's like. Okay, so we need some vertices around here, I guess. Or maybe, let me see. I think, oh, we actually have something here. Interesting. So we have this polygon here. We just need to flip it. Okay, so that's more like it. And we're gonna add a ring here. Sorry. Two maybe. Yeah, that's pretty good. Okay, and we're gonna add some rings around, some lines around here, so we have a like harder edge. And one for here as well. Yeah, that's good. Okay, we're gonna need another one for this part of the object. That's good. And yep, that's pretty much it. And we're gonna add a turbo smooth. Looks pretty good. But the thing is, you see that this part here isn't working correctly. The thing is that it's probably not welded correctly. So we're going to choose all these guys up here. We're going to open up this, and we see the change here and there. So they weren't properly welded together. And now we have a better looking thing. Yep, that's more like it. Okay. So we're going to move this guy as well into its specific position somewhere around here. We're going to add the turbo smooth here, but before that, we're going to add an edit poly. We're going to choose all these segments, add a few connect lines, pinch it out, and the turbo smooth here with two iterations. We're going to cover this thing with this, so it's not that important. We're going to go up, move it around till it's something. We could actually make this a little bit bigger or this one a little bit smaller. So I'm gonna shrink this. That's good. Move this higher and probably change the color. We're gonna want purple stuff here. Okay. Make a copy of this here, like an instance. Select this and that. Make a copy of this for the back part as well. We don't need to change them because they're nearly the same size. Okay. So that's fair enough. You could add an edit poly to this guy as well. Select all the segments, and add a connect again with 4 maybe. I'm going to move it out up to around here. Okay. So that looks pretty decent. Add modifier with 2 iterations. Yep. So that's pretty much it. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and I wish you would subscribe to our channel in YouTube and Telegram. And I'm going to be creating another object maybe next week or maybe in this week as well. So I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you have a great evening. See you guys later.